that you are going to deliver on the outcomes. But obviously the question is like, how do you build trust? And this is where I came across this gentleman. His name is Robert Zając. He is was a Polish psychologist, and he did an experiment in the 1960s called the exposure effect, which basically means that the more often we hear or see someone, the more positively we tend to perceive them. So basically, test studies have been shown faces, some faces more often than others, and those faces that have been shown to them more often, even though the participants couldn't recall it consciously, those repeatedly visible faces were rated as more competent, more likable, and also more trustworthy. So therefore, if we think about how do you build trust, and again, it's the number one factor when people make a buying decision. In order to build trust, you need to be visible, but not just visible in the first place, you need to be visible repeatedly. And now we are in 2026, and the world looks a whole different than it did like in the 60s. Because now whatever we are seeing on social media, whether that's TikTok, Instagram, or just an email or LinkedIn, because we are going to talk about LinkedIn, we are no longer judging what we see, whether is this good, but we're actually wondering what we see, is it actually real? Or is it written by AI? Like, does it actually come from that person? So in order to build trust, you need to be visible repeatedly, but also unmistakably human. And this is a huge part of my whole story. This is also why I say, like, why should you trust me when it comes to LinkedIn and talking about my story and that you could potentially learn from me? And you already heard at the beginning. So originally I'm from Germany. That's where my accent is from. And I went through school, absolutely hated school, absolutely hated it. My sister, by the way, she has a bachelor's degree, a master's, and a PhD. I never went to university. I could not think of anything worse than having to go to university. So I ended up booking a one-way ticket to London and just thought, I just figure shit out. Let's just see what happens. Like in worst case, I just go back to Germany, but I just wanted to discover this whole new world and just kind of escape a little bit as well. And that short stint with, well, I'd like to say with some luck, but actually, what is luck? Like you create your own luck, you create your own opportunities. But basically, when I started my career, one, let's call it opportunity, led to another. So in the end, I ended up working at SAP, MasterCard, Gartner, which is a multi-billion-dollar consultancy business, and then also most recently at LinkedIn. And I was in a corporate role, B2B tech sales. I was making $250,000 a year, which is really nice. My title was Global Client Executive. So at LinkedIn, there was one position that I could have gone higher up, but that would have been it. If I would have wanted to grow further in the corporate world, I would have needed to step into management, and that's not something I wanted to do. So when I was at LinkedIn, it's funny because as a LinkedIn own employee, I never showed up on the platform. I never posted content. And I mean, if I'm not showing up, like how would other people feel about posting on LinkedIn? And when I was in that situation where I thought about my career and what I want to do, I always had like kind of this itch that I want to have my own business. But I didn't know what it should be and what my skills actually are and what I could do. But I only knew that like this whole corporate world somehow doesn't suit me. And I did actually apply for this one position that I could go up, and I didn't get a job. And obviously, like I was really frustrated, and I was convinced that I was the best person to get that job. And you know how it is in corporate, like there's politics, there are reasons that we don't know why someone else gets it and you don't. So in the end, I decided I really want to take control into my own hands. But as I said, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I thought, like, why am I not showing up on LinkedIn? Like, surely if I build somewhat of an audience, it will be easier, no matter what it is that I will do as a business, will then be easier to launch. And I was reflecting on why I'm not showing up. And those were all the thoughts. Like, it feels really cringe, especially on LinkedIn, because we are so transparent. Like, everyone can see your full name, where you went to school, where you're currently working, who you're connected with. Like, it's just really scary to show up. And therefore, we are staying on the safe side. Everything is overly polished and overly safe. So therefore, content is very, very boring. And it feels cringe to show up. We see a lot of like braggy posts about like, oh, I won this award and look at me. And so that's not my vibe. Also, I was thinking like, who am I to talk about things? Like, I don't know. Like, I was at LinkedIn, I was like in the staffing and recruitment sector. So I was working with the world's largest staffing organizations. I know nothing about staffing. I was skilled in sales, but then I didn't want to show up and talk about sales because I have my existing clients on LinkedIn. Like, what do they think about if I talk about like my cheeky sales techniques that I'm literally using on them? So I was just really confused. And basically I didn't know where to start and what to do. And then I came across Courtney. I'm not sure if anyone has seen her before. She is predominantly actually a TikTok creator, but talks about LinkedIn. And she said, if you post on LinkedIn for 365 days straight, you never have to worry about money ever again. So I was just like, I mean, I work at LinkedIn already. So I was just, okay, fuck it. I'm trying this. If Courtney says I'm going to be rich, I will do it. So in February last year, not this year, last year, I put out a public post. Like, this was literally the image that I used for my post. And I said, like, watch me, how I grow my following from 2,000, which were like random old connections, to 10,000 followers within 90 days. And at that point, I had no idea whether that would be hard or easy or achievable. I was just like, fuck it, let's just try. I mean, I was really fed up with the corporate world already anyway. So I was like, what do I have to lose? But also the way how I showed up was in a really authentic and human way, because I addressed the elephant in the room. I was saying like, I work for LinkedIn and I have no fucking clue what I'm doing. Like, I didn't pretend like I teach you what you need to do, because I didn't know what I needed to do. So I was sharing in real time what I was learning. I was bringing people onto a journey. I was opening up conversations. Like, I was asking them for help, saying, teach me, like, tell me, what am I missing? So I was really bringing my audience into this whole growth journey. And I was giving people like updates on like, oh, wow, I've already hit like 5,000 followers and those things, because people love to vouch for the underdog, but also they want to see like the hero's journey. They want to see what's happening. It's like watching a Netflix show. Like, you start and then you're so desperate to see how the ending is. And that's exactly what I kind of created, where people were desperate to see, is she going to hit those 10,000 before the deadline? And that also meant, like, whenever I hit a milestone that was worth celebrating, people were celebrating with me. It didn't feel like that bragginess of like, look at me, what I have achieved. Like, they were really like, oh, cool, you got this. Like, well done, because you worked hard for it. So it feels like so much more genuine. That means, as I said earlier, like all of those fears I got them out of the way by the way how I addressed it. One was the leftover, which was the cringe. And I learned that you just have to climb Cringe Mountain. I'm not sure if you have heard of that analogy, but it basically means like Cringe Mountain is your willingness to be seen figuring shit out in public. That means also potentially failing, looking silly, not knowing what you're doing. And anyone who is climbing Cringe Mountain with you, they will cheer you on because they know how hard it is. Like, they will clap and support you, but it's only the people that are stuck at base camp who roll their eyes and don't understand what it is that you're doing, because they kind of reflect their own insecurities onto you, because they're just thinking, well, I wish I had the guts to do what they're doing. So we're not listening to them haters. We just stay with our crew that is helping us to climb. And then, thank God, one day before the deadline, I did hit those 10,000 followers. And I also want to say, 2 days or 3 days before the deadline, I was still around 2,000 followers away. So I already started drafting a post that said like, oh, I missed my goal, but I learned so much and thank you all and blah, blah, blah. But then I had a viral post and that got me over that deadline and that milestone. And that's just the encouragement of, you never know when the next client is around the corner. You never know what could happen. You just have to, like, the end is only there when it's actually the end. Don't give up before it's over, because you never know what's going to happen. And also during those 3 months is literally 90 days, I closed the biggest deal at work. So that is, I mean, we don't know whether that was like really connected, but my clients were following me on LinkedIn and I was in their face like literally every day. So I was like building that visibility repeatedly. They saw me over and over and over. So I do think it must have had an impact. But also I landed speaking gigs, podcast invitations, and most importantly, a lot of people slid into my DMs and asking for help. Because whilst that was like 10,000 followers, is not, I mean, it is a lot on LinkedIn, but it's not gigantic amounts. There's people out there with 1 million of followers. But you're always a step ahead of someone else. So no matter where you are in your own journey, you will probably be able to teach someone who is a few steps behind you. So never think like this imposter syndrome of like, who am I to talk about something? You can always teach. And even if it's just the learnings. But anyhow, that gave me so much confidence and momentum that I was thinking, like, fuck it, I'm handing in my notice now. Like I will make this work. So in June last year, I basically left LinkedIn because of LinkedIn to now have my own business about LinkedIn. So now, more or less 1 year, I have been running my own business. I'm now over 55,000 followers. I also started my own Substack. So I'm now Substack bestseller, which is like, it's just a nice little badge that is just like the confirmation of like, yeah, you have like over 100 paid subscribers. I replaced my corporate salary, work with really cool brands, been mentioned in Forbes. And also, I'm recently have announced my first ever LinkedIn cohort. Never sold anything directly to my audience. I only ever the whole year was just inbound leads, people sliding into my DMs wanting to work with me. And I was like, yeah, okay, here's what I charge, like making it up as I go. This is now the first time that I'm actually selling something to my audience. I started the sale on the 8th of July. So that is around 3 weeks ago. And as of today, I've made over 75,000 with it. And that is currently sitting in my bank account and I'm too scared to touch it. But also the software is not paying it out to me because they think like, what the fuck is going on? So that is just incredible and insane. And just to think that just 1 year ago, I was in a completely different space. Just want to give you the encouragement that if you stay consistent and with it, it can all change for you. And something that is most exciting for me privately is I retired my boyfriend. So he was a real estate agent in London and I was desperate to travel the world. So I was saying to him like, how about you quit your job? Because he had to be like physically in London, obviously. And I pay you a salary. He's doing fuck all. And then we can at least travel the world and go around. Like in the beginning when I wasn't quite sure and like money wasn't as stable, we went to Thailand as our first stop because that is so cheap. So I was saying not having to pay for our 5K apartment each month. And yeah, and now we're currently back in the UK, but we're heading to the US later this year. But it's just really nice because now we have all the flexibility and freedom that I really desperately craved when I was working in corporate. All right. So going back to trust, as you now hopefully remember, you need to be visible repeatedly and also unmistakably human. And the next few slides are going into a little bit of like LinkedIn detail. Don't worry, we're not going to nitty-gritty, but I want to leave you with a little bit of like, okay, like actionable tips and tricks that you can take away. So that will take maybe 10 minutes. And then I'm super happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right. So I already spoke a little bit around like LinkedIn content and what makes good content on LinkedIn, which basically is just human content. Like think about what happens in your life that you want to talk about. But if you want to make it a little bit more structured and systemized, I like to think of 3 different core themes. So the first theme is thought leadership. So this is basically your skills. For me, it is LinkedIn. So I'm thinking about what is currently happening in the news, and then I talk about that. So if anything in your industry is happening in the news, you can then say, I read this in the Washington Post. I disagree, or I'm curious to hear, you know what I mean? You just like talk about what's happening, but you are a skilled expert and you can invite your audience to brainstorm with you. Then you can share general insights. So I like to share like LinkedIn features. I have a little series as a LinkedIn features that I'm shocked people are not using. So that is just like tips and tricks, something to share, but make it a little bit fun. And predictions is a good one because that's basically no matter your job title, put the word the future of in front of it. So my job is LinkedIn. So I could talk about the future of LinkedIn. If you're a recruiter, you can say the future of recruitment. If again, like no matter what it is that you're in, but it shows that you are thinking strategically, that you're thinking in like the bigger picture, that you're thinking ahead, and you can't be wrong because it's predictions. But it shows you're in tune with where the industry is heading and what's going on, because that builds a lot of credibility. Like all of the thought leadership pillar, which is also the most boring one, so don't worry, it's getting more exciting. But this one is just building that credibility that enormously helps to build trust. The next pillar is business, which can be either if you're an employee, like the business you're employed in, or, and I think the majority of you are founders like me, is your own business. So you can talk about like the behind the scenes. So what I'm currently doing with my LinkedIn cohort is I publicly, it's a little bit of a deja vu moment. I publicly announced that I'm going to hit 100,000 with my cohort launch. It's starting on Monday. So I have 5 days left. Cross your fingers for me and your toes and anything possible. Let's see. But when I put this out, early July, again, I had no idea whether it is doable or not. But I was bringing my audience onto the journey and I was saying, this is not about the money. This is not about saying, look at me, I made 100K. Like this is showing you what can happen if you bet on yourself, if you believe in yourself. And also I want my content to feel like a Netflix series. As I said earlier, like I want my audience to be desperate to tune in to see what the end is. I want them to cheer me on because if I hit that milestone, that builds a lot of credibility because my job is literally LinkedIn. So I can put my money where my mouth is, basically saying, I teach you how to make money on LinkedIn and look at me because I literally made 100K on LinkedIn. So think about your own business. Think about, is there something that you can share behind the scenes that's happening? You can also just talk about like you're growing your team members or you're shifting directions. Because I always like to think if you orbit your content around you as a person, people are invested in you. Because if you ever change, and I mean, we are founders, like I will probably not talk about LinkedIn for the rest of my life. Not that exciting. It's fine for now, but I will evolve. I'm getting older. I will change. And I want my audience to change with me. So if I only talk about LinkedIn and then I decide to talk about Pilates, let's say, I will lose all of my followers. But if I'm the center of the orbit of my content, I can bring my audience onto that journey. And that's why I think behind the scenes, sharing with your audience what's going on, where you're thinking, like in terms of your business strategy, that will help to set you up for like strategic long-term growth. And as I said, like celebration feels much easier if you bring people onto a journey and it feels much less braggy. And lastly is personal. Because again, as I said earlier, we're in the world of AI, like what is real? We don't know what is real, but what we can sense is real if it looks like it's written by a human and if it includes stories and personal insights that AI won't know. I always think you should only put out content that can never ever be Googled or AI'd. Like if it's so generic that Google could give it to you, don't put it out. It needs to be unmistakably you. And we go into a little bit more what good content looks like. But there are really no boundaries to what is like too personal or not too personal. It's completely up to you. And I always say in terms of a split, it should be equal because if you only talk about the credibility aspect, like the thought leadership, people might learn from you, but they don't remember you. And if you only talk about personal stuff, people might like you, but they don't learn from you. So you're not building that credibility. So you need to have like all different angles to build that trust. So when we think about what actually makes really good content on LinkedIn these days, if you think about the evolution of LinkedIn content, I mean, I only started posting in February last year. But from what I've heard from other creators who've been around for longer, it was like pre-2022 was kind of like the anything goes era. Like I named these eras, but yeah, it's like basically no matter what you put out, the feed was empty, it performed well. Then we had like a couple of years, which was like the education mania era, where we saw a lot of detailed cheat sheets, infographics, carousels, like super nitty-gritty. You need like a magnifying glass to read the wordings. However, now again with AI, within seconds you can recreate that. So we are now entering the era of the brain meets vibes, which is basically that combination that I showed earlier around like you still want to show your thought leadership and your expertise and what you know, but combine it so much with who you are and be unapologetically you. And you might have come across this lady. She is big on Instagram. Her name is Jessie Jean. She started posting on Instagram. Well, she started a new Instagram account. She had like a previous one, but not like gigantic. She started a new one in October last year. And since October last year to now, she's now over 350,000 on Instagram in terms of followers. But she launched her own cohort and made over 6 million with it. Like 6 million. I'm nowhere near 6 million, but she definitely gave me the inspiration of like, fuck it, let's just try it. And I'm glad I did. But she is saying that content isn't information, it's emotional transmission. And I couldn't agree more, especially on LinkedIn, because on Instagram with videos, you still see someone, but on LinkedIn, it's just text only and like maybe an image. So you need to really hone down on this so much more. So it's basically making your audience feel like seen, heard, understood, like, yes, someone is finally saying the things that I was thinking, like they understand how I'm feeling. And thinking maybe, well, if she can do it, like I'm a completely normal person. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And as I said, like creating that curiosity, what's coming next, and giving them the motivation, like a good vibe of like, yeah, I can do this. Things can change. Like, let's go. And then if you are not keen on putting out content on LinkedIn, you can still think of LinkedIn as like a gigantic networking platform. I actually always think like putting out content on LinkedIn is as important as doing work behind the scenes. And I'll talk about this in a second. So it's not like Instagram or TikTok where you put out content and you can just go on with your day and then hopefully you go viral. On LinkedIn, it's very much intertwined. And LinkedIn own study is saying that people are 5 times more likely to engage with someone whom they recognize. So again, it's all about that visibility, familiarity. And LinkedIn CMO was saying that the true Jedi engage with the comments. That drives massive reach and engagement. So that means for your own LinkedIn content, you should really animate people to leave comments under your own post, but also you should put out comments under other people's posts. So one of my clients, her name is Karen, also signed up to my cohort. She put out a comment and that went absolutely viral. So her comment got over 330,000 impressions. So if you're currently posting on LinkedIn, I assume your impressions are somewhere between like maybe 200 to maybe 5,000, maybe with an outlier that can go like 50,000 or even 100,000. I never had a post that went up to 300,000. Like my best performing posts were like 200,000, something like that. So getting those impressions is absolutely nuts. It also meant like it took her literally just a few minutes, but then also thousands and thousands of people viewed her profile. And the way how the algorithm works is, as now lots of people signaled that they're interested in Karen because they clicked on her profile, when Karen then put out her next post, that performed immensely better because the algorithm thinks like, oh, it must be interesting for those people. So it's shown to those. And I mean, the more time you spend on LinkedIn, the more you will get out of it. So when I was on this growth journey to 10,000 followers, I mean, I was working at LinkedIn, but I was spending like maybe 2 or 3 hours a day on LinkedIn. And I also know that is not sustainable. Like I'm not doing that anymore, even though LinkedIn is my job. But that's why I came up with the like 20-20-20 method, which basically means every day you post on LinkedIn, you spend 1 hour on top of it in like the engagement. And I'll show you in a second what that means. But don't feel pressure that you need to post on LinkedIn every day. Again, it's not like other platforms where you are being penalized if you're not showing up consistently. don't worry about that. If you only have time to post once a week, that's better than not posting at all. You can do it twice or 3 times a week. Great. Every day is perfect, but I'm not even posting every day. Right now I do because I'm launching my cohort. But once that's done, trust me, next week when the cohort actually kicks off, I'm not there. I will maybe post one saying like, hi, I'm still alive, but that's about it. So this 1 hour, I would just block it out in your calendar. So if you think about, okay, I want to post like twice a week, block your calendar, 30 minutes for crafting your content, and an hour to do this 20-20-20 method, which means the first 20 minutes, you scroll on your feed and comment under those people's posts. Who are your ideal customers? Not just anyone. Like really make sure you engage with those people who are actually like beneficial to your business. And then send 20 connection requests. If you have a premium license, you can send 150 connection requests per week. So that's 600 per month. So if you were to post every day, that would be 20 connection requests per day. Don't just sit down on a Sunday and do all 150 in one go. LinkedIn will block you. They will think you're like a bot. So spread it nicely. But yeah, if you plan around 20 connection requests per day, it also will take about a minute per connection request. And then spend 20 minutes in the DMs. Because when you send connection requests, you can include like a little message. So make sure you include like a personalized message as to why you're connecting with them. And ideally with an open-ended question, so they can respond to you. So you will start getting busy in the DMs. But also you can see when it's someone in your existing network, if it's their birthday, work anniversary, all of that. And not just like say, happy birthday, like send a different message, like say like, oh, I saw it's your birthday, like congratulations for like, I don't know, surviving another lap around the sun. And then asking like, how are you celebrating yourself today? Because that means they're hopefully be able to respond. They see it's not an AI bot message. And then also again, for the algorithm, they see you're in touch with John. Therefore, next time you post, it will be shown to John. It just helps to warm them up. Again, don't send DMs to anyone. Make sure you only invest your time in those people who are your ideal customers. And that's basically it. Like, give yourself permission to utterly suck in the beginning. But if you do stay consistent and have the biggest fun, it will absolutely work for you. And let me stop sharing my screen and open you guys up so I can see you again. There we are.
That was amazing, Alicia. I actually want to wrap this up and literally go to LinkedIn and post and do everything you said. So thank you very much. Guys, feel free to ask your questions. You can unmute yourself, ask your question, write it on the chat, however you feel. So first of all, I want to ask a question about your sales. You mentioned that you are 70K, 75K ready. Your goal is 100,000. But in terms of volume, I mean, in terms of number of sales, how does that look like?
Yeah. So I by the way, it's the first time I'm launching it, so I had no idea what I should price it at. Like it ranges so much. Like I signed up to a LinkedIn cohort last year for Chris Donnelly. He has like 1 million followers, and he charged $6.5K in dollars for it. And I mean, I happily paid for that. So there are people out there, and he always has a cap at 100 people, and all of his cohorts, he runs them 4 times a year, always 100 people in it. So very lucrative, but also he has a lot of credibility. By the way, a lot of people who I did the cohort with Chris with, they have now signed up to my cohort because he is still stuck in the education mania era. You will see, he is brilliant by all means, don't think I'm talking him down, but you will see if you ever check out his profile, it is very systemized and very much the human removed, whereas I'm the complete opposite. But anyhow, so I know people charge 6.5K for it. I have the credibility with having worked at LinkedIn, so I thought I can charge a bit more. But then on the other hand, it's my first cohort. I've only been on LinkedIn for a year. I only had like 50,000 followers. So I don't have as much credibility as like a Chris Donnelly with 1 million followers. So I can't charge quite that. Then I was thinking of like the effort it takes. So the cohort runs for 5 weeks, my input, involvement, and all of that. So in the end, I landed on, and this is in pounds, 1,290. So that's, I think, like maybe well, I heard that the Canadian dollars are terrible currently, but I think that is probably like $1.5 to $2,000, something like that. But I did run a lot of incentives. So I had like a pre-sign up list. People got 50% off. That has long run out now. And then I did like a few incentives here and there. So now I have around 67 people signed up, depending on like what discount they joined. So I could have gone down the route of making it like very personal, high ticket, like I cap it at 10 people, but I think that would burn me out more than doing it with a larger audience and keeping it cost a little bit lower than as if I were to do the intense one-on-one. But we will see. As I said, it's my first one, so we will find out.
Yeah, congrats. Still 70 people in 1 month. That's
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I have another question, but again, guys, please feel free to ask yours. So basically what we do here at the Execution Lab is help business owners build and scale their businesses using an income first approach. So we build our businesses because we want to make money and we want to live the life that we design. And for what you shared, you guys are living the life that you designed and you worked really hard to get. So that transition from the corporate world into becoming your a business owner and replacing a huge salary, how did you think about income in that decision? I mean, was it like about money? Was it about designing your own life? Like, can you unpack a little bit about that decision?
Yeah, I'm an open book, and I actually recently wrote a newsletter about this, which went viral. Very nice. But it also shows that people crave like the realness, the behind the scenes, because I was 40K in dollars, $40,000 in debt when I decided to hand in my notice. So what happened is that I was in a long-term relationship with my ex-partner. We were together for 9 years. We were living in the countryside, like typical picket fence life. And I was so fucking bored. Like we were deeply in love, but I knew the next step would be like marriage, kids, maybe a promotion at work, the occasional holiday. And I could not think of anything worse. And I know this sounds surreal because this is the dream for a lot of people. But I was just thinking like, I don't want to be on my deathbed and thinking like I lived a vanilla life. Like I always wanted, even if that means uncertainty, even if that means I have to go back to like a flat share or whatever it might be, I'd rather do that and have excitement in my life than this predictability. So we separated, but we had this house together. And I was the person who earned more. So I still had to pay the mortgage on the house, but then also pay for a flat in London. So I was paying for 2 properties for almost a year, and London is not cheap. The UK is not cheap. Plus, I bought a Tesla on finance. Look, I made a lot of very stupid financial decisions, but I bought a Tesla on finance. And thanks to Elon, like a lot of stuff happened and I couldn't sell the Tesla. So I was stuck with the Tesla, had to pay $1,000 each month for a car that when I was back in London, I had no parking space for and I couldn't use. Like I was literally thinking like, fuck, where do I fucking park that car? And you can't drive anywhere. So anyhow, I ended up with around 40K in debt. And obviously you always think like, when is the right time? Like, when should I hand in my notice? And obviously I was thinking like, I can't hand in my notice now. Like, how the fuck am I going to make money or pay off my debt? But I was also thinking, and again, I'm fully aware that not everyone thinks in that way. And I highly like advise against what I did. But I was just having like this faith of, what if it works out? Like, what if I actually make double the amount of money that I was doing in my corporate job? Like, who says that it will be hard? Who says that I can't make this work? And I thought in my case, like the worst case scenario would be I just go back into a corporate job. If this doesn't work out, I just go back to a corporate job. I know it's also ballsy because who knows if you get another corporate job. But luckily I had a really good CV and I knew sales is always in demand. I would be fine. So I just thought, fuck it. And now, today, thanks to the cohort, I'm completely debt-free. plus have now a bit more money left over. Cross your fingers, I start to manage my finances a little bit more responsibly, and I stay out of debt. But yeah, have
That's
faith.
the next cohort to sign up for.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Enosh, go ahead.
Yes. Oh, I'm so grateful to be here this morning, and making a decision to come here was the best. Thank you so much, Alicia, for all what you shared today. I think I'm taking a lot to apply it myself. One of the questions I had for you is, in terms of the 3 content pillars that you shared, one thing that I struggle myself a lot is, I've seen, like, when I've sometimes introduced myself at networking events, I've seen people right in front of me, they open my profile, they search my name, and then go in, but they just scroll through. They quickly see my first featured post. They will see the last post that I shared, and maybe a quick glance at what I do. So I saw that there is a lot of value in what's on the profile at that time. So every time that I try to post something too personal or something away from my ideal client, I'm a bit hesitant, because if I have a networking event that's coming up, I'm quite afraid that, when somebody quickly goes in, they're going to see something that's irrelevant for them. So what I try to do is, as much as possible, to keep posting always, almost 90% of the time, something that's relevant to the audience, because I'm ready at any time. The moment they come in, they see what's relevant to them. Just wanted to get your thoughts, like, have you gone through this, or do you have a better way of handling that?
Yeah, and it's a really good question. And let me answer that in 2 parts and make it relevant for everyone here as well. First of all, your LinkedIn profile is so important, especially the top part of your profile is what I call like LinkedIn prime real estate, like what's written on your banner, how your profile picture is set up, and your headline. If that doesn't grab the attention and clearly articulates who you help, how, and to achieve what, people might not scroll on. So you need to be like super concise and snappy. And then your whole profile should be set up as like a sales landing page. Like it should have a clear call to action. What do you want people to do? What is your number one goal? Is it like one-on-one calls, subscribe to your newsletter, buy a cohort, like whatever it might be? Make sure that you mention this. Like if you have something like promotional, like right now in my banner, I have like a little sign that says like cohort starting on Monday. And then in my headline, I said like cohort starts on Monday. And then my featured section is like sign up to my cohort. Like this is obviously right now very pushy, but it's only temporarily. But generally, you should always have like a bit of a flow. So I always like to think in your featured section, have like a lead magnet where you can collect email addresses. Like it's so important to have your own newsletter. And then maybe another link that guides to like your website or book a one-on-one call or whatever it might be. So that's just one thing about like how to set up your profile in the right way. But then I think, one, you're absolutely overthinking it. But also, secondly, you can always think about weaving in stories and more personal like insights into any of your posts. You can talk to your audience and address your post to them whilst also talking about yourself and give an example. It doesn't mean that one has to exclude the other. So I think, first of all, most people, we don't know what's going on in people's head. Like when they scroll on your phone, they have a split second. And even if they see a post of yours, what are the chances that they properly read it, that they read every sentence, and that they also remember it? Like, I highly doubt that. So we always overthink it. So don't hold yourself back because of what someone might think. But also, as I said, like in general, it is good to share personal content, because I do think that the audience just absorbs knowledge so much better if it's like woven into like a story, because it brings it so much more to life. Like if you think about your own scrolling behavior and content you're consuming, the content we normally find more interesting is the one where there's a human behind it. Like there is, as I said, like a story, something that brings it to life, rather than just like cheat sheet, checklist. Like, yes, that can be helpful at times, but if you bring it to life a bit more, even if it's just in a sentence or like a side mention, that helps a lot.
Thank you so much. Could I go for another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my next question is the idea that you shared in terms of, post 365 days in, and somebody did it and they said, that's the best way to make money, and you have done it yourself. I've also thought about it, because I usually have stuff to post, but then I also think, would over posting would numb my audience, and for them it becomes a repetition where they don't see, oh, a new post. Because I've myself found it that, you know, some people that I follow, they have amazing posts, but after a while, it becomes like I don't, even though I see it, it doesn't register me. But then after a few weeks, when I see a post that really clicks with me, I was like, oh, they've been posting with value so much, but I've been numb to this. So I am also afraid that, you know, will I get into that, or should I limit my post to just say twice or thrice a week? And would love to know your thoughts on that.
All right. So I would definitely recommend, if you have fun creating content and you can do it from a time perspective, post every day, but only if you can still maintain like good quality posts. Because if the content is shit, exactly what you just said, people will just not enjoy reading it and they start scrolling and your impressions will drop. What I like to do is I like to keep my audience on their toes. So sometimes I post a video, sometimes I do a poll, sometimes I post something short and snappy, motivational. Sometimes it's a LinkedIn tip that is really in depth. I also use LinkedIn newsletters, which is a great way to go around the algorithm. I can talk about this like in detail. There are so many different ways on LinkedIn, and I only just mentioned a fraction of how you can keep it entertaining and fun, and not like, oh, I see Alicia, oh, that must be the same blah blah post that she always puts out. No, every time when I put out a post, it could be something completely different. Some people say like you should stick to your own format and your own way because that's what's proven to work for you, or whatever it might be. I'm a creative individual. We all are multi-passionate and we all are diverse. So I think showing up as your true self, and depending on how you feel, put out different content in different formats, in different ways, different lengths, different styles. Some are a bit more funny, some are a bit more serious, some are a bit more vulnerable, some are a bit more motivational. And then lastly, again, you're overthinking it. What are the chances that if you were to post every day, what are the chances that your audience is also logging onto LinkedIn every day to see all of your posts? That's number one. Number two is, what are the chances that when they log in for like 5 minutes, that your post is actually shown? And number three, they might see it. How many posts can you actually remember that you have seen in your feed? I can't remember any post that I've seen, even the posts that I read and think like, oh yeah, and I comment under it. I forget about them. So you're overthinking it massively. And also, even if your name comes up all the time, yes, they might tune out a little bit, hopefully not, but if that happens, exactly as you said, there might be another post that grabs their attention again. If the hook is good, if it performs well, you will be back. Like, they will think of you again. All what we want is that when an opportunity is out there, for people to think of you first. And you can only achieve that when you're actually there all the time. Front, right, left, center, however you say that.
Love it. I got your name right now. I think it's Alicia.
It's the European way, yeah.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Thank you so much. I love it. Love you.
Cool. We have a question in the chat. Curtis says, I had someone say never post more than 2-3 times a week because the algorithm will penalize for more. Is this bad advice then?
So there is data out there, and I'm also super happy. Well, if you have the time, because I'm currently in cohort mode, but if you want to, if you go onto my profile, onto images, you will find a post, an infographic that I put up with stats where thousands of posts were analyzed to see, like, does posting frequency impact your impressions? And yes, the LinkedIn algorithm has changed. And recently, in February, is the latest data we have available on that. We can see that people who post more than 4 times a week have on average lower impressions. Not lower impressions in general, but like per post. But still, as they post more often, they will still have higher impressions than those who post less. But the thing is, it is not down to that LinkedIn penalizes you. It is down to that oftentimes those big creators, they can't keep up the good quality when they put out so much content. So LinkedIn made a change, and sorry, this is getting a little bit nitty-gritty, but LinkedIn made a change where they announced that they're going to throttle any posts that are overly salesy or recycled leadership advice that's basically like empty because it's just recycled by someone else, or click-driven posts. And when that change came into place, a lot of the creators that have highly systemized like processes, for example, you plug in an AI tool, it creates content for you, you schedule it, that it's all run by AI. It's all crafted for you, scheduled for you automatically, and push live on LinkedIn for you. You think you're being smart and effective by just being visible all the time, but actually your content is shit. And therefore you have high volume, but LinkedIn is actually throttling it. So I think LinkedIn did like a bit like cleaning spray of all of those like rubbish accounts. And now it seems to have recovered. And also I can say firsthand, it happened the other day that I posted accidentally 4 times a day. And they all performed absolutely fine. One actually went viral. And since then, I started to post multiple times per day. Now, obviously, with my cohort launch, I'm not doing it every day. But like sometimes I do like a poll in the morning and then a big like deeper dive in the afternoon because I really want to generate some momentum. And it's absolutely fine. Like my impressions have not dropped. In fact, I'm currently growing the fastest I've ever have. So don't be scared, but just make sure the quality of your content is still good and you enjoy it. Otherwise you will burn out and then you don't post at all.
I can top it up with one of my quick experience. So this was at Vancouver Startup Week. This was like 2 months ago. I posted twice a day for 5 days straight. That was probably my best performing month because my impressions and engagement skyrocketed. It just went over the roof.
Yeah.
So I was like quite surprised. Like, LinkedIn is not actually penalizing for repeated content like that. It was good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead, Marina.
Thank you, Marcela and Abel, for organizing this. Alicia, it's a pleasure. I have to confess that I just quit from LinkedIn like from a year ago because I have the 2 following concerns. First is that I have a couple of businesses that are like totally different. First, I have a healthcare company. I am a partner in a clinic in Mexico about genetics and epigenetics. And I've been developing superfoods for 15 years and I'm a beekeeper. So when I start posting in public social media, people start asking me, oh yeah, I like a lot what you do, but what did you do? Because I see things from this topic. So do not risk my healthcare company because I'm talking to doctors and to patients and to people that seems to be like very serious and doesn't want anything funny. I just decided to quit because I didn't want to risk the profile of my healthcare company. And it's a shame because many people that I talk with in congresses, let's say about beekeeping, they ask me, so how can I reach you on LinkedIn? So like, okay, this is me, but you are not going to see anything. And on social media, I start posting and my content is like super focused on some topics. So I'm afraid of that. And the second is that sometimes people inquire me about what do you do, or sometimes in hospital talking to doctors and you are doing good, but you are still talking about bees and you are like all covered in dust. So yeah, you have to choose one. And that has been my problem all my life. And sometimes I say to people, yeah, well, Bill Gates has Microsoft and he also has investment in food. It's like the 2 things that could support humanity, right? Food and technology. But it's not the same when you're on the screen. So it ring a bell when you said about that you can talk about yourself and to keep leading the people through your journey. That makes me a lot of sense. But what could you advise to me with this thing, like to have like many different topics and very good clients in all these areas?
All right. I think first of all, I'm not going to push you that you have to put out LinkedIn content. Like it needs to feel good for you. And if your business is going well without the need of organic marketing and traffic coming your way, like if you are fine, completely fine with the number of clients you're getting and you're satisfied with everything, how your business is going, then by all means, you don't need to do something that doesn't sit right with you. So I just want to make clear, like please don't feel pressured and pushed and like have that fear of like, I'm missing out if it doesn't feel right for you. But then on the other hand, I think this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. I was talking about the cringe mountain, where it's like people, I assume the people that gave you some feedback, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume it was just a handful of people and they are also not using social media at all or LinkedIn at all. They don't understand what it is that you're doing. And I do wonder how many of those negative, let's call them negative, like comments you're receiving in comparison to the positive ones. Like imagine you're getting 500 impressions on one post. That might be 500 people who are thinking like, I really resonate with that. I really needed to hear that today. that was like, that really helped me or understand like the profession or whatever, it might be better. They might have not slipped it into your DM to tell you that, but also they could be thinking that. And we are putting so much weight onto the opinion of others that might not be fully understanding what it is that you're doing. So again, I'm making complete assumptions here, but just as an example, my own sister, she rolls her eyes at what I'm doing. She would never post on LinkedIn. Like, it's dreadful. And she is the same as me. Like, she works in tech, big tech company in Germany. But like, there is no reason why she wouldn't show up on LinkedIn. Like, she should show up on LinkedIn for her career, for everything. Like, this is literally what I'm preaching and teaching and living by example. She cannot understand it. But also I respect that. And whenever she gives me a bit of like a condescending comment, I'm just like, okay, you live your life, I live my life, and that's it. So again, completely up to you. But I just think we put so much weight onto the opinions of others that we should not listen to. Focus on the positive comments, positive vibes, but only if you believe that it can help your business. If you feel it's not worth the effort, then don't put yourself under pressure.
Yeah, thank you. I really like to make content. I enjoy it a lot. I make a lot of posts. I have one Instagram private for my students. I'm a teacher in 2 colleges, and they enjoy a lot of my content. And sometimes I repeat it on my public's social media. I really like it. I would like to do more, but yeah, that have been stopping me for years.
Then continue to do it. Be unapologetic. You don't overthink what you should out, what you shouldn't put out. Just put out content, what you enjoy talking about, because that's you. And you will find your tribe. You will find the people that resonate with it. And you will also maybe potentially find a bit more of your group where you think that, oh, I prefer to talk about this topic a little bit more, or this topic. So I hate when people think only about their ideal customers. I mean, yes, if you just run it for your business, fine. But I think it should be fun and an outlet for your creativity. And that means you're doing different things, talking about different things, talking about stories, etc., and not just always focus on your client. But I think by doing that, you're being more real, more human, more entertaining, more fun to follow. So just have fun with it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Alicia. This has been amazing. Guys, if you have any other questions or anything for Alicia, please make sure to connect with her. Alicia, I really appreciate your time and all the, beautiful knowledge that you shared. I love the passion that is in every one of your words. I believe that's one of the reasons of your big success. So thank you very much. And also we'll share your cohort with the group, right?
Yeah. So if anyone would be interested in joining my cohort, what I agreed is that I'm happy to give you guys 50% off. Please don't tell anyone, but this is literally just because it's the last few days and you probably have seen me today for the first time. So I don't have time to build trust with you over days. So the only way to convince you would be with a big discount. So don't tell anyone. Happy
That's
to give
amazing.
that to you. And yeah, would love to see you there.
Thank you very much. I will be there.
Exciting.
Yes, let's go. All right, guys. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you all.
See you guys.
Peace, guys. Great
Bye.
seeing everybody.
Thank you.